Hey everybody, welcome back to Andertons TV. The lovely Paul Hindmarsh here from Line 6 was just in showing me about some new Line 6 guitar amplifiers. I don't even know if that video's out yet. Maybe I've given the game away, I'm not sure. But one of the products that came out at the end of last year, and I don't know why, we must have missed our video schedule, so we didn't feature it, was HX1.
Yeah.
So while Paul was here, he said, do you want me to just run you through what the point of this is? And I said, why not? So we're going to do that, and just so you can see what I've plugged in here, and this will become more obvious when Paul explains what the point of the pedal is. I've taken my normal pedal board, but I've unplugged my TC chorus from it, and I've replaced it with the HX1. So in the chain, my guitar's going into my board, through all my drive pedals, then into the HX1, then back into some more delay and reverb pedals on here, and then into the front of the Victory Deputy, which I don't use very often, which is kind of cool, but it sounds with nothing plugged in like this. So yeah, the reverb is in the amp. You don't have to turn that off, you see, I've got the control at my feet. So, Paul, give us the concept of HX1.
Yeah, so HX1 is over 270 helix effects, or HX effects, in one pedal. So you can only use one of them at a time, so it's like singular effects. But it's really meant to do exactly what we're doing with it here. It sits on your pedal board. It could be that you use it for maybe you have one song that needs a rotary speaker simulator, you have one song that needs some kind of pitch effect, and you don't want to go out and spend a fortune on that one pedal to do, to only use once. So this could be that one pedal for that one song that you use. It could be a reverb, a special reverb effect that you only need once every blue moon. Or you may love the reverbs in it because they're HX effects, and it might become the reverb that you use all of the time. So it can be any of those things really. It's just sits on your pedal board. It's true bypass, it's stereo in and out, it's all of your delays, it's all of your reverbs, it's all of your overdrives, it's all of your compressors, everything you're going to find in the Helix, but only one thing at a time. So yeah, nice and simple, nice, and it's like a real Swiss Army knife sort of toolbox of things to sit on your pedal board.
I'm keen to just get into the playing, but I do think it's the concept that's really important to understand. And that, I look at my board and I've got a fairly big board. I've got maybe 10 pedals on here. But when it came down to sort of modulation, non-conventional style effects, you do as a guitar player, you very quickly go, well, if I want to use pedals rather than multi-effects, I can't have them all. So I elected to have a chorus because that's probably what I would use the most. But what I do find appealing about HX1, and I do have some questions about whether or not how realistically usable is this unless I go down the MIDI route. But what I do like about the HX1 is this idea of like, well, what if I wanted a phaser once for one song, and then a chorus for the next, and then a pitch shifter for the next, and then well, name any other weird pedal, a Leslie effect or whatever, as you said. Yeah. I forget, have I got the money to go and buy a new one of those? I haven't got the space. So I get that's why HX1 ticks that box.
You might even have that pedal, but you're going out to a gig and you don't want to rip your pedal board to pieces to do for one point of that night where you're going to do that song.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to do Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden, and it's a rotary speaker on that, but I'm going to use that sound once in that whole sort of set, so this is ideal for that kind of thing. So yeah, nice. It's just to replace those. I mean, it could be that. I mean, the flip side of that, I suppose, is you could be just getting into effects, and you might just be playing at home, and you might just want to be able to go through 273 high quality effects and play around and do recording, stereo in, stereo out, yada.
I sort of feel like the charm of this, or the appeal of this, is that it's not multi effects. Like I think. Yeah. If I was going, no, actually what I want is to be able to build up multiple effects simultaneously from a single device. If I liked Helix, I'd just go and buy a Helix Effects or a Helix Stomp or whatever like that. Or if I, as like you're saying, if I was on my journey as a novice guitar player, I'd go and buy something much more affordable that had tons of effects in it. But I think its singularity is what sets this apart from lots of other products. I was saying to Paul a bit more, and I know sometimes when you know, line 6, as most brands are always sensitive about not talking about other brands and stuff like that. But it feels to me like just a much more affordable version of something like an Eventide H9, which you see on loads of people's boards for exactly the same reason. You know, because they know that they're going to use it for all those, like, I only use this effect for 30 seconds in the gig. You know, it's not worth having its own pedal. So look, enough talking. Take me through, let's do some conventional, like I already have a reverb and a delay pedal on my board, but lots of people may not. So I'm going to turn the reverb off the amp. Let's just go through some reverb and delay settings that you like.
Okay, so I mean, I haven't put any presets in this deliberately because it's so easy to edit. That's one of the beauties of this. So, I mean, I can get to any effect I want without diving through any different menus. So if you want delays, you press this down, you'll then see all of the different categories. I can move that along to delays. My eyesight is getting worse as delay. Yeah.
There it is.
And then if I release the switch, then I have all of the different delays right there. And then,
oh, I haven't turned it on. There you go. Rookie error.
So there we have sweep echo, and we can go through any of these different delays. So reverse delay. And if I want to change any of those presets on there, change any of those parameters, these 3 pots underneath are going to change the value that's in the screen there as well. So there's nothing hidden out of the way. You can kind of see, you can see everything. If reverse delay has quite a few parameters, if you want to move along and see the other parameters, it's just page left and right. It really is as simple to do what we're doing now.
We're not in stereo. We could be, right? But my rig isn't stereo, but. I would suggest some of these maybe are dialed mix-wise, maybe to go through an effects loop. So in the front end, I'm always dialing the mix back, but is it sort of, it's right. So it doesn't remember what you've done. You've got to remember to save it if you want to.
Well, you could save that as there's 2 ways of doing this. So you could save it as a preset.
Yeah.
You can also save that. If you always want that, if you've got a vintage delay setting that you always want it to sound like that as a default, you can save that as a user default. If I press those 2 switches there, it will actually come up and allow me to save that. So for the 273 different effects in there, if you've got a particular setting on an overdrive, a particular setting on an EQ or whenever you recall that, it will be recalled with whatever you save as a user default. So.
They are good quality effects.
Yeah,
Remind me again, what effects aren't in here that you would get if you went further up the Helix range?
So all of the effects are there. What you don't have is it's not going to load IRs, it's not going to do cab simulation, and it's not going to do speakers.
Right.
Everything else is in there. So your EQs, your compressions, your modulations, your delays, your reverbs, your pitch effects, your synth effects.
Overdrive pedals.
Overdrive, yeah.
Okay, so it's
everything that you would find in the Helix, and it also means that it also gets updates. Like Helix has had updates since day one. We are always adding extra effects, and that this applies to this as well. So, so those are coming along.
So here's an interesting one then. So I could elect to do the vintage delay from here, and then turn my normal reverb pedal on.
Yeah.
Let's just go through something to see what we got.
Well, let's just say that you're very quickly in the gig situation. You want this to be your reverb. Press this down, scroll along to reverbs, and there's all of your different reverbs. It's as quick as that to do.
Shimmers.
So there's okay.
So I don't have a MIDI board.
Okay.
So what are my switching options with regards if I want, I don't think I would particularly, especially not sort of gig thing, feel like, oh yeah, I'm going to bend down and physically switch. But if I kind of knew, that if I'd ordered my presets, so I knew as I was going through the
Yep.
set list, I was going to switch between these 5 different effects. Could I do it from these buttons here?
Yeah, because you can save 127 presets into this as well. So if you press these 2 switches together, that's all your presets there. So that's going to scroll up and down through
And I can,
all the different presets.
I can create my own list of presets, can I?
You just overwrite all of those. I think that's going to be a
okay.
rather wacky one that's on.
What have we got here?
Right, so
I need some distortion with that. I know I do.
are we staying there? Are we staying with
Yeah,
that?
one. Well, that's weird. So the distortion effect doesn't really change the...
So this one may just be taking that,
Yes.
taking the pitch and processing it, so it doesn't actually listen to it. So yeah, but yeah, you can go through any of those. As you know, there's Ampeg's liquefier in there that we had there. Obviously, line 6 and Ampeg are very connected.
Yeah. What's air apparent?
So air apparent would be overdrive.
Oh, okay. I mean, I've got, as people will know, watch this channel, 73 different overdrive pedals on my board, so I probably wouldn't.
Yep.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is.
oh, I see. We're into the overdrives and the fill. See that? So again, I don't know. Nothing particularly comes to mind that I would use, but that's a great example of like. That's exactly the kind of effect you might have one intro to a song that needs that. I don't even like it.
Or it might inspire you to write a song that has that intro.
Yeah.
So if you ever get lost, you can press the home screen.
Page. Yeah, I quite liked that way that you could just go through all of, like the parent stuff. Oh, got a looper in it.
There's a looper in there as well. Yeah,
no.
couple of different loops. There's a mono loop, there's a stereo
this is-
loop. We have the shuffling looper in there as well. So the shuffling looper will take a loop and it'll chop it into sections and play some of them reversed and some of them will be pitch shift.
Do that pitch thing you were saying before, where, or sorry, that vibe where within any preset, you can choose 2 points of a parameter to, you know, and pitch shift is an obvious one because you're going through, you know, actual gradients of pitch shift, and then use a switch to be able to, you know, do like a pseudo whammy pedal type thing. Yeah.
So this is a thing called Flux, which is on here. So this switch here can be tap tempo. So I'm just going to go back into tap tempo mode. And you can see it's sort of blinking away there. If I press and hold that down, it's going to go into flux mode. And flux mode is a way, it's not even just one parameter. You can set up multiple parameters to change between 2 different values. So, and flux will move between those values either really slowly or really quickly, or with a curve where it starts off slowly and then ramps up. So pitch, we landed on pitch whammy there, so that's a great one. So if I want to assign that to the position, if I hold that down, I will see 2 little lines appear. Yeah, they're there. It's just my eyesight that wasn't so good. And you can see it moving between the 2 different flux positions across the top there. And then I can lower that one.
You could have a lot of...
Yeah, absolutely. So that's flux. It could be that you just want to ramp up a delay on the last bar of a verse to go into the chorus sound. So you could have it so that your overdrive. So your overdrive went from 5 to 10, but it did it over 4 beats, or it did it over 8 beats, or 32 beats. And it's assigned to the tempo. So it is fun. And you can have it so that if it was, I had some presets where it turned up the drive, but also because I was getting more volume, I had the flux also turn down the level as well. So it the gain got more gain, but the actual the volume went down at the same time and matched the volumes.
I am a bit interested in this whole. This is actually not a bad little sales pitch from Paul here. I'm sort of starting to think to myself, maybe, because I have this chorus pedal on my board. It's a great sounding chorus pedal, and I wouldn't want to change it out for a different chorus pedal, but I do. I am interested. It would fit kind of perfectly in the space there. I do sort of think, it's kind of cool. And again, I get it. I don't have MIDI switching on it on my board, and I sort of feel like I think if I was ultimately taking this out live, I think unless I was maybe just toggling between two kinds of effects. I think once I was trying to remember half a dozen different effects and where they were and what they did or whatever, it might blow my mind a bit.
Depends on how many you need. I mean, if it's just one thing for a gig, then and you saw how quick it is to go through those. So, and if you've saved your model defaults, if you can go straight to a chorus or modulation, choose the chorus, it comes to life with your defaults, and then the next song you're just like, oh, this is a song I need the rotary for. Scroll along back to the rotary and get it. Yeah.
But I use a looper.
It's got a looper in there as well.
That's why I was sort of going, it's kind of interesting as well, isn't it? Oh no, man, this is like this. We might need to do another. And things like optical tremolo. That was probably they're the two modulation pedals that on my board I've gone between is some sort of harmonic trem or a chorus pedal. And the only reason I don't have both is because there isn't space. So is there a harmonic trem? Find me a good harmonic trem and then I might buy this pedal.
So I'm in the modulation section there already, so I don't need to press anything to scroll through there. So there's harmonic trem.
There is as well.
Yeah.
Oh man, it works.
That can be assigned to milliseconds or tap tempo.
Oh, how depressing! Like I might have to buy one of these. It's like
it's not depressing at all.
Well, it's I
hope my boss is watching this because I'm going to get a pay rise. I'm going to ask for one.
I get it, and I think that's good. More. To be honest with you, the quality of the effects, I'm just going to accept that it's a bit of a given. I know that Helix plays in the kind of premium space of that sort of stuff, so I'm not even necessarily too worried about are they going to be good enough. It's the concept of it that has intrigued me.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, I think, the only thing that's maybe put me off of going down the H9, H90 route with this Eventide thing before is I just didn't think I wanted to spend that much money on solving this particular problem. But $299 feels like, well, that's, not too bad to solve that problem, you know.
There will be another option for you of going through presets and things as well. And I think you're kind of sold already, so I don't want to complicate things.
Yeah,
but you can.
This is the point they teach you in sales school. This is the bit where you go, "I'll just get the box for you, Mr. Customer."
I know, and I'm very aware of that. But you can add extra pedals to that to go up and down through the banks as well. So you could have the expression pedal or foot switch 3 and 4. You could add an expression pedal to this as well and control those flux parameters with that.
I'm not that guy, and I know lots of Helix players are.
Yeah.
And I know whenever we do demos together, I think you love the depth that you can go in sort of creating more unusual sounds. I just think I'm almost sold on the fact that I can have a chorus and a harmonic tremolo now on my board.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's the most basic.
Yeah, all I'm trying to work out is whether I just leave now.
Yeah.
But really, it's great that you got, but it's these people watching the video that also need to understand.
Well, they'll know the proof will be in the pudding, because this is either going to be on my board next time they see a video or it isn't, but I like it. I'm sorry, Paul. I'm just going to have to literally just ignore you for a bit and just play.
Go for it. Go for it.
There's so many different types of effect on here now. It's almost worth going stereo. It's almost worth having this at the end of the board and coming out stereo, although my gig rig quartermaster doesn't do stereo like that. So, oh man, there's so much stuff on here. Vibes as well. Why not?
And And they're nice, aren't they? It sounds
honestly,
great.
I know you're a Line 6 guy through and through and everything like that. Poly reverbs, man. It just sounds... This is... I don't think this is IRs as reverbs, though.
Right.
So
Okay,
it
like
just sounds... Did you see how non-committal he was there as to how good it was? He's so...
I think it sounds great. It sounds wonderful. I think the amp sounds great as well.
Oh, here we go. Right. So what I do need, though, is I do need to make sure I can have a chorus pedal that sounds at least almost as good as my TC stereo chorus. Yep, that's fine as well. Yeah. I think so anyway. I mean, it's like, then there's so many different ones. So in its default mode, on and off. See, what's kind of interesting on this as well, of course, because I'm using it with a quartermaster, I actually don't need the ability to turn this on and off.
Yeah.
So could I just have this in a default mode where it's always on and this just one of these just step up and down through presets?
Yes. Yeah.
Damn it. So it works as well like that. Because yeah, I mean, do you see what I'm saying? If I want to turn this off, I wouldn't do that. I would do that, and then it's off.
Yeah, you could. You'd have to stay in this mode here.
Okay.
So that would do that. Yeah. So I had a little think there because there's two different modes. There's a couple. I mean, being Line 6, we're also able to put like a whole bunch of other features in there, which are like I kind of want to tell people about, but I don't want to scare you away by doing that. So you can have it so that the effect will only load. You can find the effect, and then when you access that preset, then it loads in.
Yeah.
You can also have it so that it actually just preloads them in immediately. So as you're going through the presets there, it will load every preset. You could sit in that mode, and that won't time out, I guess for you, like true bypass doesn't really make much difference, but it does to other people.
That's the beauty. And again, I'm sort of plugging multiple brands in this video. One of the crazy things when I went with the gig rig is I can have these 10 pedals all plugged into a chain, all switched off, and 100% you can hear the difference when you just take the cable out and plug it into the amplifier. Whereas with the gig rig, you can't hear that difference. It just sounds monster.
Yeah, so this is true bypass.
And then we've got to the very end
with
the looper. Oh man, V-Tron, there's so many filters. I don't use filters and things but I probably would if I could.
Yeah, I don't tend to either. But this has all the legacy effects in, so everything that was in M series effects has also been brought over to Helix, and then that's been brought over into the HX, into HX1 as well. So anything from M9, M13 is also in here.
So I just put the reverb back on the amplifier. See, now I can go. Again, I'm sure I could program that up to get a bit more.
Yeah, you've got all the.
It's good, man.
It's great, isn't it?
Oh, well, look, it's
crazy. You've been missing out on.
I know. I'm late to the party here, aren't I? But
absolutely. I mean, there's some other things we could maybe talk about in.
Do it.
In like it can be stereo in and out, or you can actually put it in an effects loop and run 4 cable method with this as well. It's going to work with that, but if you were just using this as your pedal, you could have it so that in 4 cable method, every time you switch one of your presets to an overdrive, it put the overdrive in the front of the amp, and every time you switched it to a delay or a reverb, it would put the reverb after the amp as well. So there's a 4 cable method in there. Obviously, there's all the MIDI stuff, there's the extra foot switch stuff on there. Flux stuff is well worth trying, and run the risk of losing you by going too deep into Flux, but that's some really creative stuff for people to do and be able to morph between different effects. It's like an expression pedal. There's 2 ends of an expression pedal basically, but timed to run.
I get it, and actually I've never really got into that in anything other than I can see the point with a whammy style effect where you just want 2 end points of the pitch. But I'm here you go, this might blow the sale. Can I run it off of my standard 9-volt multi-effects thingy?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're still
you should be able to do that. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. It's pretty standard. It's 4 pedal boards.
What is it? 9-volt, 500 milliamp. I can do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
Oh man. What else can I say? You did me a good deal on it.
I'll do you a very good deal on it. A very good deal.
Brilliant. All right, well look, this is cool. I mean, honestly, I'm sold. I'm going to put it on my board. So if there's anything else you're going, I wonder if it does that, you can always DM me on Instagram in a few weeks' time once I've got my head around it, and I'll be able to tell you if I've done it. But yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, do you know what? I think just because we've probably been a bit light on playing, and you're a great player, we'll find a couple of cool sounds on here that are perhaps a bit more unusual. We get a sound out of my pedalboard and Paul can play us out. But thank you very much. Always
No
lovely to see you,
problem.
man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Take it easy.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Thank you guys for watching. Links below. See you later. That is a good combo. That, by the way, was my Fjord Fuzz Odin.